Yeah, Kelly, I wonder if you can just clean up or clarify something the president said yesterday. If he loses this election, can you assure us that there will be a peaceful transfer of power?
You are referring to the question asked by the Playboy reporter, right?
I'm referring to the president being asked if there would be a peaceful transfer of power, and he did not say yes.
Yeah,
so
I believe.
I'm asking you, will there be a peaceful transfer of power if he loses this election?
I believe that question asked by the Playboy Power. In fact, I think I have it right here. He was asked win, lose, or draw whether he would accept the transfer of power. I'm not entirely sure if he won why he would accept a transfer of power. That is maybe the deranged wish of that reporter, but that's not how governing works.
Very direct and very simple question. If the president loses this election, will this White House, will this president assure us that there will be a peaceful transfer of power? It's a very simple question.
The president will accept the results of a free and fair election. But I think that your question is more fitting to be asked of Democrats who have already been on the record saying they won't accept the results of an election. In fact, I have several of them here for you. South Carolina Democrat Jim Clyburn has said that Trump is not going to win fairly. Senator Barbara Boxer has said that the only way Trump will win is to steal it. That's according to Democrat Senator Barbara Boxer. The Washington Post has noted, they have a headline, Democrats may not trust the results of the election if Trump wins. And then you have that beautiful quote from Hillary Clinton that Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstance. So I think your fitting is a fitting question for Democrats. Yes.
Kayleigh, just to understand this clearly, are the results legitimate only if the president wins?
The president will accept the results of a free and fair election. He will accept the will of the American people.
So for clarity, if he loses and it's free and fair, he will accept it?
I've answered your question. He will accept the results of a free and fair election.
Let me ask you about Breonna Taylor, if I can, right now. First of all, just a little housekeeping. Has the president spoken to the family of Breonna Taylor?
I'm not aware of any conversation that they've had, but our hearts do go out to her family.
Has the president spoken to the officers who were shot last night in Louisville?
I'm not aware of any conversations.
So the president spoke to the officers who were shot in Los Angeles, but to this point, there's no indication the president at any point over the last several months has spoken to the family of Breonna Taylor. I guess why not?
The president routinely speaks to victims of horrendous tragedies. I've been here when he's met with the parents who lost their children to instances of police brutality. It was a really beautiful meeting, and the president consoled them. He's talked to the widows who have lost their husbands to police officers. He's spoken to widows of fallen soldiers. He routinely reaches out to victims of all kinds of atrocities, and he'll continue to do that.
What is the president's message to the family of Breonna? I heard what you say, that we grieve for them, but what is the president's message to the family of Breonna Taylor that does not believe they received justice?
That our hearts go out to her. It was a horrible tragedy that happened, and that our hearts also are with the two police officers who were shot last night in the Louisville riots.
When you say our, you mean the White House, including the president?
Yes, I speak on behalf of the president. Yes.
His thoughts go out.
I am the president's spokesperson. I speak on his behalf, Peter.
In fact, one of the aides just said that the
Ben,
president was his
go
own spokesperson, which is why I asked. But go
Ben.
ahead.
So, Kayleigh, yesterday when the president said, get rid of the ballots, there won't be a transfer, frankly, there'll be a continuation. Which particular ballots is he talking about wanting to get rid of, and why does he think that would help him get elected?
The president wants to get rid of mass mail-out voting, and that's not because he said clearly that could go either way. It could damage either candidate's chances because it's a system that's subject to fraud. In fact, in the last 24 hours, police in Greenville, Wisconsin, found mail in a ditch, and it included absentee ballots. And also, I can confirm for you that Trump ballots for the president were found in Pennsylvania, and I believe you should be getting more information on that shortly. Here in the last 24 hours, they were found cast aside.
So why in the past hour did the president tweet out, vote by mail ballots in my home state of Florida begin going out today, make sure to request yours, fill it out, and send it in?
The president has always made the distinction that absentee ballots, where you go through a process where you request a ballot and you mail that in, that is a system that works, but a system where you mass mail out to voter rolls, which are not kept and maintained, where in Los Angeles County, for instance, you have 120% of the county enrolled. That system is untenable. It doesn't work. It leads to what we saw in Nevada, where there were ballots languishing in trash cans and pinned to apartment boards.
Okay, and finally, today FBI Director Wray testified on the Hill that he has not seen historically any kind of coordinated national voter fraud effort in a major election, whether it's by mail or otherwise. So if the president's own FBI director says this isn't a problem, why does the president keep saying it is?
Well, as Attorney General Barr has said, we've never had an election where we've done mass mail-out voting like this before. I would point you to a bipartisan study done by none other than Jimmy Carter, who said that these mail-in votes remain the largest source of potential fraud. And he even cited an example of a 1997 Miami mayor election that resulted in 36 arrests for absentee ballot fraud. That election had to be rerun and the results were reversed. That is an example from 1997, but there are many others like Patterson, New Jersey, where 4 men were charged with voting fraud recently. 4 more men were charged in California, and there's a ton of examples. I could get you an encyclopedia of fraudulent examples we've had.
These ballots are going out. If the president does win, will he still think it was rigged and fraudulent?
I've already answered this question. Yes.
Kayleigh, the president's niece filed a lawsuit in New York State Court today alleging that the president and 2 of his siblings had cheated her out of millions and squeezed her out of the family business, and we were hoping to get reaction from the White House.
Yeah, the only fraud committed there was Mary Trump recording one of her relatives, and she's really discredited herself. Yes.
Kayleigh, on TikTok, we know that the CFIUS negotiations are continuing. Can you say, has the president been briefed in the last couple days about how the CFIUS negotiations are going? Do you know when those negotiations will end?
Yeah, not that I'm not aware of his briefing schedule with regard to TikTok, but what I can say is what the president has said, which is that any deal has to be 100% as far as national security is concerned. And I'd refer you to his comments as well as of those from the Department of Treasury for any further specifics. I'd refer you there. But finally, I would like to note the situation in Louisville, Kentucky last night. There were reports of vandalism. There were nearly 100 arrests, and the Trump administration urges calm and reminds those who wish to have their voices heard to do so peacefully. You have a right to peaceful protest as outlined in the First Amendment. And the Attorney General Daniel Cameron said, if we simply act on emotion or outrage, there is no justice. Mob justice is not justice. Justice sought by violence is not justice. It just becomes revenge. And you contrast his message with that of CNN's Breonna Keeler, who said, I question the judgment of the Kentucky Attorney General saying that mob justice is not justice. We know that this is very loaded language. That's an appalling statement from Breonna Keeler at CNN. And what is outrageous about this take is that mob justice is not justice. Hours later, after this comment was made on CNN, 2 police officers were shot. This is not justice. This has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with the value of human life and the safety and security of our American cities. And across the country, we've seen our police officers come under fire in the line of duty. In Los Angeles, there was an ambush attempt on 2 police officers. In Phoenix, a U.S. Marshal was ambushed and shot outside a federal courthouse. In Linwood, California, a suspect approached a patrol car and fired a handgun into the passenger side window. And in Suffolk, Virginia, a suspect opened fire on a marked police car, hitting the vehicle 3 times. Our police officers deserve our respect, and the violence that is being committed towards them, and this was just in the last week and a half, is outrageous. And the words of CNN and of Breonna Keeler are outrageous, irresponsible, and we should never hear statements like that, followed by hours later, 2 police officers being shot.
Kayleigh, what does the president believe the protest?